There is a space where you are all you need, where you are all you want. All there is here. Welcome to the Source Connection, conversations about who we truly are, the possibilities of creation and the new earth we are birthing. With your hosts, Tarah Long and Liz B.
Hello, friends. Hello. Welcome to the Source Connection. We're so happy you are with us today. Let's begin as we do with a few minutes of silence today. We'll do a little guidance to relax, and then we'll have a few minutes of silence. So relax in your chair, wherever you happen to be in this moment. Just let the body breathe naturally. Just with a little awareness on that state of stillness and relaxation that gives you permission to fully arrive right here, right now. And let's just be together in this space where we are one, always. I know that this silence and stillness, which is the most simple thing, can also be the hardest thing to do sometimes. And that's okay. Just see if now and other times, if it feels good for you, you can just drop any practice, any doing, any efforting of meditation or this or that, and let yourself become naked. And if you can only start with a few minutes, that's okay, or 30 seconds. Just see what happens if you start with that. See what magic unfolds. Thank you, friends, for taking this time with us today.
If you're watching us, what is the first thing you notice about Tarah today when you look at her? Those red lips. When I saw her, I was like, oh, those cherry lips.
Ooh, yeah, I was feeling it today for some reason.
I love that. It looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just calls to you.
Did you know, trivia,
Yeah.
that I remember growing up and when it was kind of culturally known back home that if a woman was wearing red underwear, that meant that she was wanting to be sexual.
Ooh. So red underwear is the go signal. It's
It's
the
the
light.
ghost.
Is that right?
Right, it's the green light. Yeah.
Red is the green.
Red is the green. The
Doesn't mean
world.
stop in this case.
No. No. Isn't that interesting?
Interesting. That is interesting. Huh. So how would you make it known that you were wearing red underwear? Would you just let
Uh,
someone peek out or
Yeah, well, I guess if somebody, got invited and lucky enough to see
oh,
your underwear and and they saw red underwear, that would mean, but then I've always wondered, like, what if somebody just wasn't really paying attention, right?
right. And they
Then
wore
they-
red. Yeah.
But that has stuck with me to the point where I don't even know if I have it still, but I used to have a pair of like red underwear and I would not just wear that.
Ah. Even here, even now, you're like, oh wait, I am waiting to wear this red underwear for us.
Right. It was even like if I picked it, I was like, oh, no, I'm not wearing that. Like it was just not like any other color that would just be like, oh, whatever. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. That
How
is interesting.
cultural things would just like,
Yeah. How about
it-
now? How do you think about it or
I don't know if I have that red underwear.
yeah.
There is one underwear that I have that's yellow. So another trivia.
I love this underwear trivia. Yes.
in so back home is Brazil. For New Year's Eve, everyone dresses in white.
Okay.
And depending on what you would like to attract in the new year, you could wear different color underwear.
Oh.
And so when you said that, it made me think of this yellow underwear that I have that I love that I got for New Year's one time, because that's to attract, financial abundance and just good luck in your finances and all that.
That's cool. What did you know? Do you remember what all the different colors mean or
No,
no?
no,
Okay.
I don't.
Let's bring it back.
Well, I guess we can now put our own.
We can do whatever we want.
Right.
Whatever we want.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Yeah.
interesting.
That was our show today. Underwear
That's it.
trivia.
Underwear trivia.
Please comment.
Please comment below.
Comment below if where you are at, or if you were raised, right? In any underwear. If there was any interesting fact about underwear.
I would like to know that. I know that certain religions, like the Mormon religion, has. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know the full facts of it. But I know there's some kind of special underwear, and there's other, yeah. There's there's different traditions, if you will.
Different strokes for different folks.
That's right. That's right. Different strokes for different folks. I love it. And are you in your underwear today, Liz? Because yes, as you know, if you listen to us, sometimes, yeah, because we can.
Because we can. And let me just say this, it's good to air it out. So every opportunity that I can, I do not wear underwear.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
And I upgraded a couple of years ago. I was talking to a friend and we were talking about that. And she said, I don't really wear underwear with jeans. And I was like, oh, I've never tried that.
Interesting.
It was like, oh yeah, it's great. And I was just like, really? So I just couldn't wrap my head around that. And so I've upgraded to
commando. You go commando with jeans. Yeah. That's interesting. Actually, now that we say this, I had a dream last night. I was not wearing, I had a shirt on, like a t-shirt, no underwear. And I was going around to different, like delivering stuff to people with no pants or underwear. What does that mean? Maybe I knew we were going to have this conversation today. But I remember kind of feeling weird about it, but also not in my dream, just being like, yeah, whatever. This is just how I'm rolling right now.
I just grew up with this idea, and I didn't really do that growing up, but I used to always sleep with no underwear because my mom always said, as much as you can, give that space, room to just be naked. It's good. And growing up in a hot, humid place, half the time I was just in my underwear home and like a top or whatever. But just a few years ago, it was just natural. I didn't read anything about it or I didn't see anybody talk about it. It just became a natural thing for me to be like, I need to put underwear on, and I didn't really talk about it until that friend, we were talking about something and I jokingly said something. She was like, oh yeah, I don't really wear much underwear. And then we had the jeans conversation and I was like, wow, that I haven't tried. Talking about dreams, yesterday I had a dream that, and this was, I don't know how it manifested, but somebody came and like touched the tip of my nose to the point where it woke me up. And I was like, what? But it was like quiet and everyone was asleep. And I was just like, I wonder if someone did that intentionally, and it crossed that, or if it was just like, I don't know.
So your dream was someone touching you on the nose.
But I don't know who. I wasn't dreaming about it. I just felt someone touching my nose, and that woke me up. And I was like, oh, somebody touched my nose. Something touched my nose. Felt like a finger just.
Maybe it was your daughter's hand. No.
It wasn't. She said that too. And I said, no, because I looked and I was elevated. I was sleeping a little elevated and it wasn't. It was like there was no movement around me. It was literally like something had, kind of pierced the veil of like that space and just, it was interesting. But
yeah, interesting. Yep. Well, I mean,
about dreams.
Definitely very possible that there are some other entities joining you.
Yeah.
In the bedroom. That sounded weirder than I meant it to. But.
And, we're talking about the red lipstick, the red underwear, and sexual energy and all that. And while we were in our quiet space together, I was touching like my womb area and I was feeling how activated it was. Just very. And I've been tipping like my toes on the waters of womb working, and it has been coming up to my awareness. I had told you about that lady. I thought, oh, she'd be great in our podcast. I'm not going to name names right now because hopefully it'll come up. But then yesterday on Monday, I was with a friend who said, oh, I've done her program. It's fantastic, but only do it if you're willing to go really deep because we store so much as women in that area. And so it was just interesting to, be feeling this activation. And yesterday I was with a friend who just came back from a trip working with this, womb goddess and doing all this kind of womb clearing and all that. And she was talking about womb pulsing, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah. There's so much opportunity and potential there for so much exploration.
So much exploration. And it came, and it's interesting how everything's coming after I was doing breath work with Rhoda, and she said, there's something in your right side of your utero, and I just cleared that up. Something was being cleared up. And so after that, all of this started to show up, and I'm just really interested in seeing where it's going to lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's this very intensive like abdominal massage that works a lot with what's it called? Well, there's a Chinese version, and then there's a Mayan version. But I learned a little bit of it in acupuncture school, a little bit of the Chinese version, and it's like kind of pulling apart a lot of scar tissue that women have, their uterus and bladder, and just all those areas that are, can get so tense and contracted, and whew, yeah, it's amazing. Like, in working with women's cycles and stuff, which is such a reflection. One cycle can be such a reflection for so many things in the body. So yeah, we should, let's definitely have someone on who wants to explore with us.
I know. So we can, because I feel like spirituality for some time had this idea that there was this kind of like elevated plane where one would go and find him or herself, right? And I feel like now we're coming to this time where we're becoming more of an integrated being, where it's not just up here, but it's also down here. And how do we integrate everything? All of these very dynamic, physical, material experiences with also everything that's beyond the physical, beyond what we can touch and, feel on that level. And so I think that, especially as women, a lot of our sexual potency and power has been diluted. And I often wonder what does it feel like to reclaim that from that place of authenticity and integrity.
Yeah, absolutely. And for, whatever people feel called to, I feel like you'll be called to it, or feel the call to explore that more when it is right for you, or if it's right for you, or all that. There's so much. I mean, there's so much history and so much we could talk about for women, and all that's gone on for women, but it's beautiful to feel that, we are becoming more embodied here now, whatever is arising in the moment, whether you're a man or a woman or something else that you anything, whatever it is. Multi-dimensional being, as we all are.
And I hear you say embodied, I think of in body, in the body.
In the body,
In
embodied.
the body, and just really cohesive. Right, because the body is so multi-dimensional, and oftentimes we touched on this on last episode with Tom, how we often just either go straight to the body, right? Or like, oh, we need a photo, we need a fix in the body, but there are so many layers of what the body embodies.
And the body is the reflection of everything else.
Right. And so how well integrated we are on all of those aspects, that we can be, playing with one and then touching all of the other ones, because it's inevitable.
Right. It's like the cleaning rooms of the house. It doesn't matter where you start, really. It's all going to lead to the next and the next. And I just have to say that, as we talk about like being women and that, I just have to say, for whatever it's coming up, and maybe other people feel this way, that I've never felt very connected to an identity of being of a gender, of being a woman, and not in a way that I feel like I'm any gender. It's in a way that I feel like, oh, okay, I guess I'm in a body that is a woman. So I've never, for me, felt like that, this like, sacred woman, feminine woman thing, like that just has never and there's nothing, I'm not judging that, or there's nothing wrong with it. Just for me, it's just like, oh yeah, okay, I'm in a woman's body, and that's cool. And so exploring that, I've never felt like called to deeply explore all of those,
right,
before. But I'm,
as we talk about it, do you feel that spark to explore that in a way, or not necessarily?
I feel to some parts of it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love exploring like birth, like growing a child and like birthing. To me, that's just like, oh my God, that our bodies do that, that's like amazing. It's so amazing. It's
Yeah.
just, it's kind of not unfathomable to me
Mm,
that we do that. I mean, I've never done it. So I suppose if I've ever done it in this body in this lifetime, maybe it would feel a little more, but it's just like, wow, I'm just amazed.
I love that. Yeah. I do feel very identified with being a woman.
Hmm.
Just my body, like my
Hmm.
biological gender,
Yeah.
and identity attached to that. What do you think or feel about, think and feel, not or, about all of the conversations that are happening around gender? Because to me, when I was younger, there wasn't conversations
Yeah.
about that at all. It
Right.
was very black and white. And
Yeah.
I did not grow up with people who felt the need to express themselves or not identify.
Mm.
It was just, you were a man or a woman, or you were gay or bisexual. And it was just
Yep.
very, very simple in that
Yep.
way.
Yep.
And I feel like now, when I see it, which is not a part of my everyday life, I feel like I can't keep up
Uh-huh.
with
Yes.
all the definitions and the terms and the
Yes.
subcategories and all of that. And so, with you having this experience, what do you see going on out there?
Yeah, that's a great question and a great topic. I think there's so much confusion for so many people around a lot of it. Like I was watching some clip the other day, and I think now there's over 100 different ways one can, identify like socially. Yeah. So like you, I feel like I can't keep up, and actually, I don't have a desire to know and investigate. However, somebody wants to identify themselves, it's perfect. I have no problem with it. There's so many cultures where there's multiple genders. Even there's more than just male and female. There's been so many cultures in our, in the history of the world. However, where it gets sticky for me is because I very much feel, and this also has to do with just the work I've done in my life. And to say that I don't identify with being a woman, I do in some ways, but it's not like I feel attached to that identity, or that it somehow, um, I don't know, is attached to me, if that makes sense. So I very much feel just like a being in a body. So coming from that place, that's how I view and experience other people as well. Real for the most part, when I'm experiencing them, it's not about a gender or whatever they identify as. I could literally care less, and how whatever works for you is great. Where it gets sticky is when folks get offended or feel like you need to call me this,
Mm,
and if you don't, it's disrespectful, or you're not respecting my choices to identify this or that way. And I understand that, and I can have compassion for that. However, that to me is someone needing external validation from
mm,
another to validate their existence as
mm,
they are. And there's many ways we do this. It's not just with, oh, call me by they or whatever. It's not just that. It's many other things too, right? It's like, I need you to recognize me as this or that. Well, if you need someone to recognize you as this or that, then there's something in you that feels not enough. There's a lack belief. There
mm,
is a lack belief working, because if there isn't a lack belief working, you could literally care less what people call you, what they say about you, you know what I mean? So while I can understand it and have compassion for it, I can see like a bigger picture of where it's Yeah, where it just doesn't really, it doesn't feel real to me. It just doesn't
Mm,
feel like a real thing. It feels like another thing that we're
mm,
using to separate from each other. That's what it feels like to me.
yeah, I resonate with that word, to separate, because I feel like the more we put ourselves into the smaller subcategories of whatever things, we're just creating more of the illusion of what
Yeah.
we're not.
Yeah.
So I, yeah, I understand. I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I, like you, I don't really feel the need to also explore much of that. It's just not really part of my
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that just goes, also extends to so many other things people want to identify themselves with or as, or I really just don't care. All I want to know, I want to have a conversation with you and, feel your heart and feel you. I don't care what meat suit you come in.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Meat suit.
It's true, right? I mean, they're beautiful meat suits,
Yeah.
but they're very fleshy. uh,
But
and
like
dense.
all things that are physical, it changes and it morphs. And
Yeah.
especially as women, we've been so constrained by what our meat suits should look like.
Yeah, right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's not a woman alive who can who hasn't felt that on some level. Whether
I re-
you care about it or not. It's
Totally.
yeah.
I remember being at the airport one day, and you know, when you go to the airport and you're by those um, kind of like shops where they have the magazines laid out on the
Yeah, oh
wall,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the big sections. And I remember just looking there at something, and I was far enough to see the whole thing. And there was the side of the women's magazine, and then now we have enough men's magazine to at
Yeah.
least have part of a side. And it really showcased to me the expectations of what women and men and the standards that we generally, um, consciously or unconsciously accept or are fed in this society. And all the women, even the older women who were being in the covers of the magazines or whatever, they weren't really allowed to have white hair, wrinkles. But the men, some of them were going
Oh
grayish, and
yes. They're distinguished, right?
they have the, lines in their faces, and it's just like, oh, they're so wise all of a sudden.
Mm,
And, the women can just hide that forever.
yeah.
And even if you're not participating in that kind of game, I wonder how much we're being impacted,
Mm,
influenced, and what kind of energetic imprint we're all carrying because of this collective idea, to where now young women are already morphing themselves into not growing old physically, to where they wouldn't even know what they would look like
mm, mhm,
on the outside, and how much also that interferes with our emotional maturity,
mm,
because all that's coming out, it's everything has been lived, and I feel like we're stunting our emotional growth,
mm,
not allowing ourselves to just really mature in the physical with everything else that happens in our lives.
mm. Yeah. Yes, there is definitely an obsession with anti-aging, right?
Yes.
And anti-aging means in every way, ultimately, right? It's not just your physical, but like you're saying, it's also emotionally, maybe mentally, staying young and youthful, and because we are attached to the outside, because we feel, I say we as in the majority, I think, of folks really feel this sense that when this goes, I go, right? This whole fear of death that we've talked about before. And so for me, the remedy to that, if you will, is that deeper exploration to your source, with your source. That solves everything basically, because then like this thing, while it can be honored and taken care of and be beautiful and all of that, it's not you. And so to not just think that, but to actually embody, which kind of sounds funny because we're, in the body, knowing that the body is temporary, and anything that's temporary can't be you. It's just impossible. So having a relationship with that versus having the relationship with like, oh, my hair, and oh, my red lips, and how does it look, even though it's fun and I love it, but I think we can have an experience of not being in that system, in that world, as much as we choose to, even though, yeah, sure, it can impact how other people might see us, but that, who cares? It only matters how we see ourselves, right? Like, that's it.
Yes.
And I say all this being, how old am I? I forget. I so often forget how old I am.
I know
You
how
know,
old you are.
you do? How old am I? You can say it.
You just turned 43.
I sure did. Yeah, I don't have a age thing where I don't want people to know my age, because again, I don't feel identified with it. I'm like, yeah, I'm 43. So I say this as a 43-year-old. I don't say anything from an older woman yet. So who knows? I might feel differently then. But from where I'm sitting now, oh boy, I actually really enjoy aging. Like, I love getting older because it just, everything gets better with age. That's been my experience.
I like it too. And it's interesting because, sometimes people will doubt my age and so, what do you do? Oh my God, what do you put
Yeah.
on your face or whatever thing, right? And um, and it's also a double sword because it's almost like there's that excitement that comes from not necessarily looking your age,
Yeah.
but then why does it matter? And in my own journey, in my own process of accepting my aging, it's every time that I've noticed something different, there is first a resistance to it. And then when I decide to really look at it for what it is, and I'm like, oh, that's a life well lived. And I start actually enjoying it.
Yeah.
And one of the last times I was home, my aunt was talking about my hair and that there was a lot of gray in my hair. And she said, well, you can let yourself go. And I said, go where? Go where?
Where are we going?
Like, what do you mean? But she said, oh, you look too young and you just can't let, this just take over like this. And it, I look at it now and I'm just curious about it. And I love it. And I'm like, oh, is it going to be like even? Is it going to be on one side? Huge, like silver streak. And I feel like I'm like turning into a superhero because all of a sudden it's like, man, this is like, what is this?
Girl. Yeah, girl. Get those silvers in there. Yeah, I've got it. I've got grays too.
Contrasty because it's so dark, so you really see it.
You can see it, yeah. Right. And I have lighter hair, so it kind of blends, but I definitely more and more gray. When I first started getting gray, I remember when I first got the first few, I'd like pluck them out,
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally.
Like, why am I doing? I mean, now I'd be half bald, but like, why am I doing this? No, that's just silly. This is beautiful. This is like, Yeah. And the same. Like I actually got carded the other day and I was like, that hasn't happened. I said to the guy, yeah, you can see my license. That hasn't happened to me in like a year or something. Sure. But then it's like, yeah, it does. Of course it doesn't matter. But there's still that like conditioning of like, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a couple years ago, I was home with one of my best friends and we went out and it was so exciting because we're out and I'm like, I don't get to go out very often, not because I can't, because I choose not to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
partying at night. And we went out and it was so fun and we were dancing and this guy who was visiting Brazil, I don't remember where he was from. I want to say England, but he started talking to us and something. And I said, I'm just really excited to be out because I don't do this very often. And I'm the only one not drinking, which is even more fun because I'm
Yeah.
the most excited one and I'm drinking water and they just can't understand. And I'm like an animal who's been in a cage. Dancing. I love dancing. And I mentioned that I was in my 40s and he was just like, what do you do? And the same kind of conversation, right? And I feel like just being vital and being
Yep.
vibrant, whatever age that you are, there is a certain energy that carries through the physical aspect and the appearance and all that. And so I don't feel inside of me that I am that age, maybe because I don't necessarily identify with it
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
And but just like I feel like such a baby. There's so much I want to
No.
do and learn. And I'm like, oh, how many lifetimes is this going to take? Just yesterday, I was at the printing press museum and I'm like, I want to do all of this, make this thing. And I just feel like, oh my God, I could explore here forever.
Yeah.
And I think that when you start accepting that about yourself,
Mm.
I think that there's a lot of beauty that comes through that. Just really being embodied in who you are at every moment. And it's not about the age. And oftentimes people say, well, would you like to go back when you're 20? And I'm like, hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no is my answer. Hell no. Those were torturous times.
You may have the the youth, but there's something that's not ripe yet.
Yeah.
And that it's
Absolutely.
unsettling. And so I remember my teacher that I oftentimes speak of, Guru Singh, where in our one of the classes he said, aging, when people don't accept aging, it's like if you want to eat a fruit that's not ripe yet, it's going to look good, but it doesn't taste really good.
Yeah.
Almost tasteless, or it's sour because it hasn't ripened yet.
Mm.
Right. And so, how are we letting ourselves just naturally
Ripen. Yeah.
Yeah, ripen.
Yeah, it is. It's so that, like you were talking about before, that life force and vitality that moves through you, that really informs, I think, your body and how you look and your skin and all of that. It doesn't have to do with what you do, what regimens you have, because I get that too all the time. Like, oh, is it spirulina? Oh, is it you know, is it this or that, or what kind of moisturizer cream do you? And it's like, I, honestly, I mean, yeah, I take care of myself well and all that stuff, but there's not a magic bullet pill that's gonna. It's like, how do you feel every day? How
Mm.
much life? How much life force do you feel in your being, in your body? Are you happy? I mean, whatever that means for people, right? But just as a general term, like what what can you shift or change to be more in alignment and true to yourself right now? What's the low hanging fruit?
What do you allow yourself to be?
Yes. Yes. Do you allow it in? Do you feel worthy of it?
Mm.
It's a big one.
How do you feel worthy of it? Mm. how worthy do you feel of being your most vibrant self?
Yes. That's the question for this episode.
Yeah.
The invitation.
That's a really yummy invitation, because going back to being a woman, and I've caught myself sometimes, having reservations about being my most vibrant self, because how will this impact other people, and especially growing up in a very sexualized world, where you have to then rewrite the stories and this dynamics again, where somebody can be very vibrantly themselves. It doesn't mean that they're looking for something in particular.
Right. And when you're your most vibrant, you're not looking for anything, right? You're just like, life.
I experienced the other day. Oh my God, I totally forgot about this until now when you said life.
Life.
I was in the car, and what music was I listening to? Oh, it's this Middle Eastern music that I love. And I was singing, singing. Singing. Singing Arabic. And
you know Arabic.
Yeah, that's why I said singing.
Yeah.
Mimicking.
Got air quotes, folks.
I was mimicking the words to the best that I can, which I actually am very good at.
Oh, good.
And there was like this line of cars because there was a stop sign. So I'm just there and I'm singing really loud, and the little sunroof is open. And all of a sudden, when it was my turn to hit the stop, I stopped, and there was a woman walking, and she had a flower in her hand, and she looked at me and she did a heart sign like that, and she blew a kiss in the flower, and she said, "For you." And I was just like, oh my God. She felt it too.
That's so sweet.
So sweet. And I was just like, wow, the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes.
I totally in the moment exchange.
Yeah.
I have no idea who she is. She was wearing a mask. Probably even if I saw her, I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know now. Yeah.
I wouldn't know. And it was just so magical. And I was just like, wow, look at that.
Because you were just in your joy. And she was like, oh, people are so attracted to that, right? Yeah. So they're like, yes.
Yeah, blew me a flower out of, yeah.
That's so sweet.
Oh my God. And I did a little heart for her.
Oh yeah. That's kind of reminds me of today. We were in the store and we were in line ready to check out. And the woman in front of us, an older woman, she turns around and she goes, oh, it's so nice to see your faces. Because nobody was wearing a mask. What else is I going to call it? Nobody was wearing one of those things. And so she just turned around. She was like, oh, yeah, you too. It was just so sweet, this like this reconnection of the face. I mean, just seeing people's faces, it really does something to our biology, It's just, so wonderful.
Yeah. All the smiles, and we communicate on every level, and just the facial expression, also the sense of security by being able to see another's face.
Yes.
Just reading that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like with the masks, my invitation was to read beyond what I could see, because a lot of times the eyes would be fearful and apprehensive. So there wasn't really much to read beyond that. And so what is the energetic imprint that I'm taking from this person, which have been very good and very unconscious throughout all my life. I have this tendency of looking above people's head, and I don't notice I'm doing. And I have a lot of people ask me, "What was my hair messy? Or do I have something on my forehead?" And I go, "Why?" And they're like, "Well, you keep looking, right here." And I'm like, "I'm sorry." And I didn't know what that meant. And I was doing a psychic reading one time, and she said, "It's so clear to you what you're, your intuitive eye sees, and you look right into people's intuitive eyes as well, and you capture everything right there. And I said, well, I don't notice I do that. And she said, well, yeah, you don't have to know you're doing that, but other people notice that I'm looking up, and I'm not even, I'm
aware of
completely
it.
aware of it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So it's been an interesting thing, and it happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. That what we are able to take in, from
Yeah.
others is just,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Beyond the words and
Yeah.
again, the things that we think we can't see, because we can see so much more than what the eyes can see, and we can
Yes.
see so much more,
So much more.
so much communication happening. And so let's tap into that and invite ourselves to go beyond the physical, and honoring the physical, because that is the instrument that carries us through this experience.
Yeah.
And let's also experience everything beyond that,
Yeah.
so we can go deeper together.
Yeah, there is a simultaneity that can happen as a multidimensional being. It doesn't have to be one or the other. We can be embodied, and we can also be experiencing all the other levels or whatever. And just being connected to yourself and your source, and that's all. You don't have to think about it. You just go, okay, what am I connecting to now? Yeah.
It's simple.
It's
I mean, what is this podcast if
it's so simple. It's so simple. Once again, folks, it's so simple. You're going to get what you need. You're going to get what you want. You're going to get it all. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Just allow yourself. Yeah. So share with us some of the experiences that you've had with, all of this communication that goes beyond the physical, and how you've been navigating this time, and what gifts have been emerging for you throughout all of this.
Yeah, I'll just say quickly, back when I used to do like healing work and energy work, I noticed that working with someone remotely, I could always see so much more than when they were in front of my face. Yeah, because there was no distraction of their words or physicality. It was just like tune in like so immediately when we didn't have, yeah. So that's fun. So yeah, what are your experiences with that? Would love to hear. And also, the other invitation was, how worthy do you feel to be your most vibrant self?
Mm.
Yeah. And just an itty bitty reminder that you can find us on all the things, not all the things, but YouTube, Odyssey, Spotify. And now I'm trying to slip this in here like
Gently.
gently. And now on Patreon. Yes. We're going to be offering, you can see some videos of what we're going to be offering, but we are going to be offering some more intimate, interactive stuff over there where we can engage with you. And we're excited about that as well.
So come join us if it feels right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for being here today, co-creating this space with us one more time. So grateful for you.
Yeah. Thanks, folks. Lots of love.
See you next time.